Hallelujah. All praises be to Yahuwah. So, I want us to give all praises to our Heavenly Father, Yahuwah. You are welcome today. And I thank the Most High Yahuwah, for the time that we have come together here in order to, take a time to study and go into deeper, study of today's topic. Because today I would like us to be able to really see something, through the Ruwach of YAHUWSHUWA. But before we proceed, we have to be able to give praises to our Heavenly Father Yahuwah for the time and for bringing us, each and every one of us, together here today. And that we are here today. We can be somewhere else, but the Most High have already put it in our heart to all come together in order to study this particular word and the revelations of the things which has been revealed to us, so that we can be able to be elevated spiritually, nourished, and also in this particular manner, so that we can be able to grow and also bear fruit. And so we give praises to our Heavenly Father Yahuwah for the time that He has brought us all together. So today we are going to be going deep, into this particular study of the things that happened during the time of the prophecies of Daniel and the things which is already being manifested, because we want to see about the vision which Daniel saw. And this particular vision which Daniel saw, the thing that was already being manifested during the time of Yahushua. So, and today I would like us to open up our scripture, because it's going to be something that we are going to be going back and forth, in order to really study these words. So go with me into the book of Daniel, chapter number 7. So I want us to start from there in regards to the vision which Daniel saw. And so we're going to start reading from verse number 7, and from verse number 7 itself, or from verse number 1. Let's start reading from verse number 1. The Bible says here, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. So the four winds of heaven strove against the sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first one was like a lion, and had eagle wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. So, which means he is seeing something now in that particular vision. So he said here that he beheld until the wings were being plucked off. That he literally taking off the thing that is giving that particular beast or whatsoever the power or the thing to fly. So what happened is that particular wings were being plucked off. Now I want us to see what happened. And it was left up, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and as a man hand was being given to it. So this is a state whereby he has been dethroned from the place where it used to be. Now he is on a normal level field now. So in verse number 5 is where I want us to be able to really see and understand something. So the Bible says there, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself, one on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now this is something that you need to be able to understand. Now this is something that is being said to this beast, which is to arise. This is what this beast is going to do. And the Bible recorded to us that this beast was being said to, he should arise, and he should be able to do what? Devour much flesh. And so we are seeing the revelation or the vision which Daniel saw. And this particular revelation is already giving Daniel about something which is going to take place. And so in a vision also, I want us to be able to go straight up in verse number, I want us to go in verse number 8, because I want us to be able to really see some things, that is really going on here. Now in verse number 8, the Bible says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among another little horn, before whom there were three, first horn plucked upon by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. In verse number 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. Now I want us to be able to understand what really took place here, because this is a vision of Daniel when he saw in the vision. Now he is giving this particular vision, writing it down for us to be able to really see the things that he saw in the vision. So he said that what? He saw the whole kingdom, literally. The kingdoms were being what? Brought down, which is the reason why he wrote it in verse number 9. He said, I beheld till the thrones. Now, during that particular time, Daniel recorded to us one step after another how things were going on in regards to different kind of kingdoms, how they fell. After this person came this person, and after this person came this person. After the Grecians came these people. And now in verse number 9 is where Daniel is recording to us that he beheld. So he was looking at all these things until thrones were cast down. And when the thrones were cast down, what happened? The Bible recorded to us that the Ancient of Days. Now, there is a reason why we need to be able to understand the reason why Daniel used the term Ancient of Days did sit. You need to be able to understand it. The Ancient of Days, he is trying to let us know and understand that this particular one that sit has been existing for eternity. And this ancient one who is sitting now, his kingdom, which he is going to be established, or which is already being manifested, that this particular kingdom is going to be what? An everlasting kingdom. Now listen to what he said. That is the reason why he says something that we need to be able to really see there. He said in verse number 10, a fiery stream came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and tens of thousands stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. In verse number 11, he said, I beheld then there, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away. Now, you need to be able to understand what is going on here now. When this particular kingdom that was being set, which during the time of the Ancient of Days, what happened is that the other kingdom, every other kingdom, dominion was being taken away. I want us to see something here now. Yet their lives were prolonged for a season. So you are seeing a revelation where kingdoms has already been dethroned, and the Ancient of Days did sit. And now there is something that we need to be able to understand. This Ancient of Days that sits, when Daniel saw this Ancient of Days, he saw his vision in the dream, and then he described to us the way that he did look like when he is going to do what? When he is going to do what? Sit on his throne. I want us to see something. I want us to see in the book of Daniel, chapter number 10. Daniel chapter number 10. From verse number, we're going to read from verse number 6. The Bible said there, and his body was like the bar, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in a color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of multitude. Now, what you need to be able to understand is that this is Daniel talking about the vision, somebody who he saw in the spirit realm. And this particular person is going to be establishing his own throne. And now, before he's establishing his own throne, what happened is that this other kingdom has already been dethroned. And the dethroning of all this other kingdom is going to be something that when this Ancient of Days establishes his own kingdom, there is going to be some whose word are going to be prolonged. Listen to what the Bible says. We go back into the book of Daniel, chapter number 12, chapter number 7 from verse number 12. It says, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken. You need to be able to understand it. Yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So what is this season that their lives were being prolonged? Literally, they were being allowed to do what? To function for a specific time. So their lives were being prolonged from a certain time to a certain time. So what I want you to be able to really understand is that, number one, is that this vision that Daniel saw, he saw a vision of something which is going to take place. And this vision of the one that he saw, the Ancient of Days, who is going to come to be able to establish his own throne, that this particular prophecy occurred and happened during the time, for example, when the YAHUWSHUWA manifested in order to do what? To fulfill this particular prophecy about his own establishment of the kingdom, which he has already come in order to establish. That is the reason why you need to be able to understand that the Bible makes us to understand that everything that has to do with what? With the kingdom of the power in the heaven, the power on earth has been given unto YAHUWSHUWA. Follow with me into the book of Luke. I want us to check into the book of Luke, chapter number 1, because there's something that Daniel said here in chapter number 7, from verse number 9, that is very, very important for we to be able to see. But let's go into the book of Luke, chapter number 3. We're going to read the book of Luke, chapter number 3, chapter number 1, from verse number, we're going to read from verse number 31. Now, because you need to be able to see and understand that when Daniel saw this vision of a person, he described that this particular person is going to come and then establish, bring down, literally, the kingdom and establish his own word here. Listen to what the Bible says here in verse number 31. The Bible says, and behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name YAHUWSHUWA. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Master Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. So we are talking about something which is going to happen. We are talking about something which Daniel has seen. And now, when the manifestation of this particular kingdom took place, or this particular person that Daniel saw, because the coming of YAHUWSHUWA, the manifestation of YAHUWSHUWA was actually what Daniel saw in the literally, because he saw something in the spirit world. And that thing that he saw in the spirit world, when it manifested, people were, we are not able to really see or understand that this is actually the manifestation of that thing which Daniel has already seen. Because what he saw, like I said, in the spirit world was somebody, like we read in the book of Daniel, chapter number 10. I want us to really go in verse number, Daniel chapter number, back to that particular place where we are at. Daniel chapter number 10, in verse number 6, where Daniel described it here. He said, his body also was like the bar, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in a color to a polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of what? Of multitude. Now, this is what I'm saying, that this is the time that he has come. That literally, when Daniel saw this vision, what happened is that Daniel used this particular time to be able to tell us. Now, remember that during the time of Daniel, Daniel was an instrument which was being used in order to do what? In order to pass a revelation of what is taking place. And what is taking place during his own time, what is going to be taking place during the time of YAHUWSHUWA, and what is going to also be able to do what will happen. So the revelation of what he was trying to give was to be able to let us know that, look, that this particular, that is the reason why when we even go into the book of Daniel chapter number 9 in regards to the 70 weeks of Daniel, the Bible makes us to understand that a vision was being given to Daniel in order for him to be able to know what is going to do what befall, and the time span which was being given to the people or to their own people in order for them to get things right before the dethroning, before the coming down, or before the destruction, before the coming down of the whole system. Let's go into the book of Daniel chapter number 9. Now, this is very, very important and key for we to be able to really understand. Daniel chapter number 9, we're going to read from verse number, we're going to start reading from verse number 20. The Bible says here, and whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before YAHUWAH my Elohim for the holy mountain of my Elohim, yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me, and the time of the evening of oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. In verse number 23, at the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. Now, this is now the time span which was being given unto Daniel. In verse number 24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Verse 25, know therefore and understand or understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Mashiach, the prince, shall be 70 weeks. And 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous time. And after 62 weeks shall the Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So this is what you need to be able to understand here in regards to this particular prophecy. Now, Daniel was being given a time span through which they had to be able to do what, to get things right. You know, him and his people, that is, his people need to be able to get things right. So the Bible recorded to us that what this 70 weeks was being given to them for them to bring in an everlasting righteousness. Now, everlasting righteousness within that particular time. So now the Bible recorded to us that what, that here in verse number 27, that what at the end of it, in verse number 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and to overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon desolate. So what is happening here, and what we need to be able to really understand here, is that this is the time that Daniel was already being given a vision of what is going to happen during the time when Yahushua comes, because his coming is going to be the end and the beginning of literally of, you know, the destruction of that particular time. That those kingdom is going to bring an end to those particular kingdom in order for him to be able to really start something different. And so Daniel was already being given a revelation of how the destruction, because they were already being forewarned to bring in an everlasting righteousness. And in the midst of this, that is the reason why you need to be able to understand that what the coming forth of Yahushua during that particular time, which is the vision which he has seen, is to be able to come in the midst of that prophecy, in order for him to be able to do what, to usher in that, in order through Yahushua, so that that everlasting righteousness is going to be ushered in. And so Daniel had a vision of this, of that particular time. So this is the reason why we need to be able to understand that within the same period of that 17 weeks, that was in the
in the cycle, or still in the continuation of that particular 70 weeks, was when the manifestation of Yahushua came forth, in order for him, the people through him would now be the people who are going to be born through him, or who are going to accept, believe through him, are going to now usher in and bring in that particular everlasting righteousness, as these things as the vision was already being given unto Daniel. So we are literally, what you need to be able to understand is in the extension of that particular time, because during the time that Yahushua came and then manifested, he came fulfilling this particular prophecy which was being given already unto Daniel. Because when you read in verse number 25, it says, "Know therefore and overstand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince," that is literally talking about until the time that Yahushua is going to be manifested, the Prince shall be. So from a certain time when the restoration of the to rebuild Jerusalem, which is something that we saw during the time of the book of Ezra, was already being spoken about, that this is going to be the time that this particular building of the temple started, and then it ended at a certain time. To restore and to rebuild Jerusalem shall be, to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 70 weeks, and 62 weeks. The streets shall be built and the walls, even in troublous times, like I said in the previous message, right? That these things were being built during the troublous time, but these things are going to be destroyed, destroyed when that everlasting righteousness has to be introduced. And that particular everlasting righteousness is the way through which this particular everlasting righteousness has to be able to come into play, is through Yahushua. So what Daniel was doing was to be able to show us in a vision how this particular person who is going to usher in this particular everlasting righteousness is going to actually, how he's going to look like when he came and manifested in order to do what, to usher in that particular everlasting righteousness. And this everlasting righteousness is something that is in him, in order, because the time span which was being given to these particular people has to be agreed upon, has to be concurred to, has to be completely agreed upon. So I want us to be able to really go back and also see something that really took place right there in the book of Matthew, chapter number 28, because this is something that is already being contained for we to be able to really see. Matthew chapter number 28, we're going to read verse number 18. We're going to read chapter number 28, from verse number 18 through to 20 of the book of Matthew. Now, the Bible says here, "And Yahushua came and spake unto them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Ruwach HaKodesh, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world." So what is happening here is that you need to be able to understand that this is now the time that particular everlasting righteousness has to be ushered in. But a lot of people, because they are not really grasping that the person who was being ordained in order to bring this everlasting righteousness was also being prophesied in how he's going to do these things. And these things are going to be manifested when you see that his coming forth is going to cause the destruction or the desolation of the previous kingdoms. And now that his kingdom is about to be established, his kingdom is going to be built upon an everlasting righteousness. That is the reason why you hear the Bible talk about that and of his kingdom there shall be, it will know no end. Literally, it's going to be an everlasting kingdom, which is going to be built based on righteousness. And this is something that Daniel himself already foresaw, like as we read in the book of Daniel, that during the coming, so that 70 weeks of Daniel that was being given to, during the Daniel, it is inside the cycle of that 70 weeks that the manifestation of Yahushua manifested, fulfilling the prophecy of Daniel, seeing where the Ancient of Days sat on the throne. Because when he saw what he saw in the spirit realm was the throne which was being set in what? In the spirit. And that particular throne now manifested now. Because when Yahushua now came on earth, what he came in order to do is to be able to now do what? To return back to where that particular place where Daniel saw in the vision is where Yahushua now went back. So he manifested and then established the kingdom here on earth within that particular cycle of that 70 weeks, which was being given to the children of Israel in order to get things right. And so within that cycle now, an everlasting righteousness has already been manifested. And this everlasting righteousness, a lot of people were not seeing it. This is the reason why they had issues with that everlasting righteousness. So those people who do not have, who do not have a connection to that everlasting righteousness, cannot go there. This is the reason why, like I said, the Bible said that his kingdom is going to be ruled in what? In truth and in everlasting. That is when you see Yahushua, the Bible said that what? I am the way, I am the truth, and I am life. And nobody is going to come to the Father but by me. And I remember the prayer which Yahushua prayed. He said that this is how you are to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in the heavenly realm. And now when you talk about that particular way, you are talking about bringing in that everlasting righteousness. Now, this was the vision of what Daniel has already seen. And that vision of what Daniel has seen need to be manifested and continue. And this is the reason why when we read in the book of Daniel, chapter number 7, when we read in the book of Daniel, chapter number 7, in the book of Daniel, chapter number 7, it said there, and I beheld, verse 11, it said, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn speak, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and even to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged. So what it means here is that there are some who were being allowed. So, and part of those now is where you now see that what some now sprang up and now started making pompous, forgetting that that the original power which is holding this particular everything that is in creation itself is what is the one that sits, the one that has dominion, the real kingdom which has no end, the one that has the overall power, the I am, the great I am, the master all. So now these ones who have been allowed in order for them to rise and continue what they are doing, now they came up and they started behaving as if they have everything or they are the most powerful, when actually the Ancient of Days is already sitting in his seat, literally, because you need to be able to understand that when Yahushua was being elevated in the truth, it was being elevated after the execution, after the hanging on the tree, you need to be able to understand that that word where he appeared to, when you see, he appeared to Paul, he appeared to different of the apostles after the resurrection. That particular word is the real word which Daniel saw. And that particular word is the one that is running those ancient kingdoms. But then this particular one, which is being seen, which is being allowed, they are the ones that came up. And when they are the ones that came up, through a root. And now what happened is that they began to make pompous, started making pompous words and started doing things as if they have as if they are the ones that did what? That, made everything. And that is the reason why when you go into the book of Revelation, the Bible makes us to understand something in regards to what was already being recorded in the book of Revelation. So about the, having, making pompous words, when you talk about the beast, which is in the book of Revelation, started making a lot of because like I said in the book of Daniel here, what happened is that they were being allowed in order for them to be able to do what, to continue. And then what happened? They rose up, and then now what happened? They began to do what? To make a lot of pompous things. Now I want us to be able to really go somewhere in the book of Revelation. We're going to go briefly into the book of Revelation, chapter number 1. The book of Revelation, chapter number 1. I just want us to read from verse number 15, because we already seen something that Daniel saw, and then that is the same master, and then he is the one that within, like I said, within the same time period, he has already come in order to bring in everlasting righteousness. And this everlasting righteousness that he's here to bring in, before his coming, what happened? Daniel described how this particular Malak, how he's going to come forth, how he's going to look like, and all these things. And what he's going to come is that he's going to come and establish an everlasting kingdom. An everlasting kingdom. And also when we go into the book of Revelation, and so which is what this particular Malak did when he came in order to do what? To usher in this everlasting kingdom, which is why he also said, this is how to pray. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done where on earth, because already behold the kingdom is within you. You need to be able to understand it. Now listen to what happened now. So we're talking about what Daniel saw, and now let's see what the book of Revelation now, also chapter number 1. When we read in verse number 14, in verse number 15, the Bible says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as they are born in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So you see that was the same place where Daniel saw in the vision is also the same place where Yahuwah, John, saw in the vision, in that spirit world. And in that spirit world is where the throne is. This is what I want you to be able to understand. It is where the throne is. And in that place where the throne is, it is an everlasting, that throne is not, nobody is dragging it, it can be able to do what? To bring it down. It is the time that was being given to every other throne has already expired. That is why they were all being crumbled one after another. So now Daniel and John was able to see to that word where YAHUWSHUWA went to, because he is the ancient word, which is being manifested, and now go back, that is to say, return in that particular position where he was at before his coming forth. So both Daniel and John, John the Revelator, who saw the revelation, was seeing that spiritual, that higher word which YAHUWSHUWA had built it in the spirit world, that established, that made, that he came in order to do what? To manifest, which is the reason why you need to be able to understand. He said that what? The kingdom of Elohim is within you, which is literally telling you about that his own presence there. And then the power, which why you need to be able to pray also with the Father. You pray to the Father in order to do what? To bring in that particular eternal righteousness and manifest that particular eternal righteousness. Where? On earth. But this thing has to be through a struggle for the people who are ready, in order for them to be able to really see and understand what is going on. Now I want us to just read briefly in the B part of it also. He said here, and he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, which is the word. 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. So all these things are things which also, when you go into the book of Daniel, that Daniel saw. When you go into the book of Daniel, you saw when Daniel saw that his throne, on the throne in that spirit world now, in his throne, in that higher vision now, what happened is that in his throne is what? Lightnings. And then he saw in that particular word. So this is what people do not understand, that we're talking about the establishment of another, the kingdom that has no end, which control every other ancient kingdoms, has to be brought in order to bring in everlasting righteousness. So the thing which Daniel was prayed about, a revelation, a mission was being given to him in order for him to have an overstanding. This is the reason why when Michael came, Michael was able to do what? To give him, to say, I have come now to make you overstand the vision, because it is for the time and for the letter, that is literally for the later times. And this later time means that what? That the things which you are going to be seeing happening are the things which is already taking place, which is going to be happening during the time of Yahushua, because Yahushua is part of the prophecy which you are seeing in that vision. And so when he comes, he established his kingdom, and through this particular kingdom, other nations and whatsoever is going to be what is going to be controlled. And his own kingdom, this is the reason why the Bible talk about that for his kingdom, there shall be no end to his kingdom. His kingdom will always be there, will always be there. So no matter any other kingdom which was being erected, that one has a beginning and has an end, has an expiry time, but not for this. Now I want us to be able to see about those, some of those them kingdom which, you know, which were, and they started making things out of their own self. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter number 1, the same place where we are at, the book of Revelation, chapter number 13, sorry, from verse number 1. The book of Revelation, chapter number 13, we're going to read from verse number, we're going to read from verse number 1. Now I want us to see something, because you see that most of the things that Daniel saw here, Daniel equally saw, Daniel saw, John saw in the book of Revelation. Now, how was he given to John? It was being given to him in the Ruwach, in the spirit, so that he can be able to really understand what is taking place there. Now listen to what happened. He said, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of what? Of the sea. Now, when we go back into the book of Daniel, we saw that Daniel already said that what? That there are, now I just want us to quickly go back there. That is in the book of Daniel, chapter number 9. Daniel chapter number 9, so that you'll be able to get it. Exactly. Daniel chapter number 9. No, not 9, but rather Daniel chapter number 7. Yeah. Where it says, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Now I want us to bear that in mind. This is in Daniel 7, verse number 12. Now let's see what the Bible says here now. It says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of what? Of the sea. So this is now the rise of those particular beasts, which are, when you read in the book of Daniel now, this is the rise of those them beasts. Now listen to what the Bible said about them. And saw the beast rise up out of what? Of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So these were the ones which were being allowed to, sneak. They would think that they are sneaking, but they are being monitored. They are being allowed, just like the same thing that you see what happened during the time of let me say Pharaoh in Egypt. So what happened to Pharaoh? The Bible makes us to be able to understand that for this purpose have I allowed thee, in order to do what? To show forth my might, my power. That is why I allow you to be able to do what? To grow and continue what you're doing, right? Until the manifestation of the power, in order to show who is who. So to tell you that there is power that override all the powers. Now listen to what the Bible says here in the book of in verse number 13, B part. He said, having 7 heads, 10 horns. So this is now, that particular beast now has come up and has grown and has risen, because it was being allowed flourish, in order for it to flourish, blossom, and then now he has grown. Now listen to what happened. Now he has 10 horns, 10 crowns, 10 horns, and his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. So now this is now time that he has started trying to exercise the power, but this is a beast itself that was being allowed in order for it to flourish. Now listen to what the Bible says. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now you need to be able to understand what it means here is that the dragon has given to this particular beast his power. So, which literally means, like I said, it shows us to be able to know when you talk about the things which happen in the book of Daniel chapter number 7, it was being allowed in order for it to flourish. Not flourish, but to continue. Why? For a time, for a purpose. And so this is the reason why now the Bible said that the dragon gave him his power and his seat, and behold, this is a great power. So when the dragon handed him over his own power to this particular beast, it becomes a very strong, multiplied power that beast now is now having. And listen to what the Bible says here. It says, and I saw one of his head as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wonder after the beast. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. So they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Now remember, the beast, the dragon, these particular ones are what? Are ancient, which were allowed. And look, and now what happened is that through this particular beast, which has already sprang up now, he was able to do what? To collect power from what? From that particular ancient, from that dragon, and continue. And so, but being watched just like the same way that Pharaoh was being watched and allowed to be able to do what? To flourish until a time. He said here, so in verse number 5, he said, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So this is that particular piece allowed to be able to. Now, this is a revelation of who is saying these particular things, who is giving this to John. Like I said, a revelation of YAHUWSHUWA, which was being given to John, in order for him to be able to do what? To reveal things which is going to do what? Which is, so he is revealing the things, even how the power is being, when you talk about the power struggles or the power exchange, the power, exchange between one party and the other is going on. Now, listen to what the Bible say here. And he opened up his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and the tabernacle and them that dwell in the heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindred, tongues, nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name are not written in the book of life of Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So what is very, very important and key for we to be able to understand here is that this is a time when a revelation was being given to Daniel. And in the cycle of this particular revelation, a time span was being given for Daniel to bring, in order for them to bring an end to what? To the sin, unto the things which they are doing. And now in the midst of that is what the scripture was saying now. In the midst of that manifested YAHUWSHUWA. And now when YAHUWSHUWA manifested in the midst of that particular prophetic time that Daniel was being given to do, what happened is he manifested in order to do what? To help bring in that everlasting righteousness. But people will be deviated not to see that everlasting righteousness that YAHUWSHUWA has come in order to do what? To bring in. And his coming is also going to determine, because this one is not like any other kind of the same, beings or kingdoms. No, he is the ancient of days coming in order to do what? To manifest. That is to say, bring in that everlasting kingdom on what? On planet, on earth. That is why when you talk, just like I say, when you pray about what? Our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come. This is what he has been able to do what? To come. And so what happened is that within that, he has manifested it. And the people now who are in Yahushua are called the trusted. The people who have believed, who have accepted, these people now have been elevated. These people now are part of the people who are now going to do what? Bring in that everlasting righteousness. They are part of the people who Daniel was doing what? Was praying, and who Daniel was praying for, in the sense that Daniel was making supplication on their behalf. Now, to bring in everlasting righteousness. And so when Yahushua came in order to bring in that particular everlasting righteousness, remember, that was what was going to bring in the desolation of that place, which is called, for example, now when they talk about Jerusalem. Because when Yahushua manifested, this is the reason why when Daniel wrote about it, he said that what the end thereof is what is going to be with what? With desolation. And it's already something that has already been determined. So what does that mean? It means that that by the time that this particular master had come over in order to bring in this particular everlasting righteousness, what is going to happen is the end thereof is going to be with desolation. Why? Because the revelation of what is going to be going on is going to cause, that temple which was being built to do what? To even be destroyed. And that is the reason why you see that, like I said, Yahushua even prophesied, even spoke about it and said to them that when you see Jerusalem being encompassed by army, Yahushua knew that what? The desolation thereof is nigh. And now this desolation is to let you know that his mission at that particular time, was to be able to do what? To come and do what? And bring in everlasting righteousness. That is the reason why he had to be able to do what? To be in conflict with all them people who were already doing what? Taking over that particular word, sucking the people's energy at that particular time. So his coming forth was to be able to come and do what? And fulfill the prophecies, the things which has already been written in regards to what? Even among the prophets, in people like what? Daniel, prophecies and everything. That is his manifestation in order to come and be, that is the manifestation of it in order for him to be able to come and do what? And fulfill and give that opportunity for those, give that elevation for those people who want to be of that part of that eternal kingdom, of that eternal power, where Yahushua, the ancient one, the eternal spirit, the indestructible life itself. So like I said, that is the reason why when we go into the book of Luke, chapter number 1, from verse number 31, the Bible makes us be able to understand that what? Of his kingdom there shall be no end. So right here now you see that what? All these particular kingdoms that deceive the people. So what happened? They have already established and they collaborate. They try to be able to get, power. The dragon can be able to give to the beast its own power to be operating with it. And in return, they exchange their own power. But all these things were things which were already known that they are going to do. And why they are doing it, what is going to be happening? The people who are, that is why the Bible said that the people who are not recorded, are not written in the book of life, are going to be what? They are going to be subjected now in particular people. Who are those people who are not written in the book of life? Or in the book of life, in the book of truth? The people who are not part of that eternal power, the people who are not part of that eternal kingdom, will not be able to do what? To really see. That is why when we going back into the book of Revelation 13, verse number 8, he said, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name are not written. So they are going to worship the beast that the dragon gave him the power. Now, when you talk about, you're talking about an eternal, not eternal, but a long, historic something which has been going on, which a lot of secret things are going to be happening, through which a lot of people are going to be controlled. And so that is why the Bible say that what? all anybody who is not, the people who are on earth are going to be part of this particular, construct, because one of that, of a certain construct, when you talk about now that dwell upon earth, because the spirit of Elohim is what is truth. So, and if you are in that particular spirit, you would not be in line with what you would not be, certainly you would not be able to do what you would not be part of that. There's no way, because the spirit which is within you will be able to really minister to you and be able to show you the way, because now is the way has already been revealed. When Yahushua manifested, that is the way. And that was what was already being spoken. You already know that what this is, that ancient power that is coming forth in order for what? For the liberation to be able to take place. Now I want us to be able to really go and see something quickly in the book of Matthew, chapter number 17. Matthew, chapter number 17. We're going to read verse number Matthew 17, verse number 1 through to 3. So Matthew chapter number 17. So here the Bible say here, and after 6 days, Yahushua taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his remnant was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Now I want us to be able to really see this and understand also that we're talking about what? The manifestation of that ancient of days coming forth. Now you see the people who we are following there, the people of Moses, or you see Elijah. Now Elias, which is what you see now. These people, the whole people are tied to this, but it's either tied to what? To Moses or to Elias. But a revelation has already been given, which a lot of people are missing here. This was the ancient of days being manifested in this form now, here now. And where the Bible makes us to understand that what, when the voice spoke and they spoke and said that what, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased, hearing him. What does the Bible mean by that? This is the word. This is that particular one that has to be able to come in order to do what? To bring in the everlasting righteousness. So this is why the revelation was said in the midst of that time. He's going to do what? He's going to, so they were being given the time in order to bring it in. So, but Moses was there, but a lot of people who are being tied are still being connected with what? With Moses, which, when you talk about a lot of things going on in the world, just for example, now when you talk about the beast, the dragon, which is the old dragon, has its own system which he has created. Or literally, when you talk about secret court, which that particular beast system has, because the ancient dragon only operates through what? The ancient dragon only operates through, through secrecy in order to suck the energy of the people. And then he had a collaboration with what? With the beast, in order to do what? In order to manifest what he is manifesting, right? And now power is going to go back to that dragon. But there is something that was already being raised in order to counter this, the ancient dragon and the beast and all these things, which was being raised by Yahuwah, which was being raised through Yahushua. Because you need to be able to understand what took place in regards to the, coming forth of Moses, and then the coming forth and the record of the things which John himself have already bear over the truth. So if one is missing, so what you need to be able to understand is that at the end of all, what happened, they are all being connected to one big secret society, which is the reason why the Bible say that what? Which is the reason why the Bible say that all of them that are on earth are going to do what? Worship the dragon. Are going to worship the dragon. Those who are not found written in the book of life. Those who are not found written in the book of life. What it means is, when all said and done, everything was being tied apart from the ones who are in truth, are being tied. Everything was being tied to what? To going back to the dragon, or going back to that beast system, literally, when life itself on its own. So what I want us to be able to really understand is that this is actually the revelations that we need to be able to really see and understand the process through which these things are being done. The revelation of during the time that Daniel was being given the revelation in order for them to be able to get it right. And that revelation still continues. Why Yahushua came forth in order to, in order to elevate those people who are going to be partakers of that eternal power. And those people who have to be partakers of that eternal power, they have to be what called trusted and true. They have to be called people who are what? Who are trusted, who are truth. That is why they are called truth. Literally, when you talk about truth, you are talking about that spirit of life, the truth life in those people. And there's no way that one can be able to operate in that particular state and also be tied with what? With the beasts system, or the construct of the things which they themselves have already created for themselves. You need to be able to understand this. So I want us to be able to really go also quickly in the book of just quickly in the book of Revelation 14. Just have to be able to really see some of one or two things in order to really connect everything. Revelation chapter number 14 from verse number, we're going to read from verse number 2. Okay, from verse number 2, the Bible say here, Revelation 14:2, the Bible say, and I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder, and I heard the voice of harper harping with their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 24 beasts and the elders, and no man could learn the song before the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So what is there is that there are going to be people, like I said, who are going to do what? Who are going to be redeemed, who are going to be taken out from the hand of these them beasts. And that is the reason why the Bible makes us to be able to understand that these people, they have a new song. They sung a new song. This is something, the construct is all being tied, connected, to the extent that the beast is the one that has been allowed in order for it to run. So all these things is the things which Daniel saw in the book of Revelation, in the book of Daniel chapter number 7. And Daniel was trying to be able to do what? To give us a revelation of things which is taking place. And now the same thing was already being repeated in the book of Revelation, where we are reading now. In the book of Daniel, it was being recorded, chapter number 7. And in the book of Revelation, it is being given to us in a way, in order for you to be able to understand, to be open, so that your spiritual, because remember that during the time of Daniel, only Daniel was made to see those revelations during that time. But now it is now time that has made it open, because during the time of Daniel, it is a prophecy was being sealed. Write these words and seal it up. What it means is that, put it on code, literally seal it up. Not everybody can be able to understand until the time of the end, until the time. And what is going to happen now, the revelation of it is now going to come forth. And when you come to the book of Revelation now, it is now the time to open up those things which has already been spoken about. And those things which has been spoken about now, when it is being revealed, that is the reason why you need to be able to understand that things are being manifested, calamities, a lot of things are going on, that a lot of parallel prophecies, ministries, a lot of messages which are being spoken by Daniel are being manifested. But people, because they are not able to really connect, they couldn't see the revelations or the things which Daniel was speaking about being manifested in that particular time. And so this is something that we need to be able to really understand, that we are talking about what? We are talking about a revelation of Daniel, the revelation that was being given to Daniel in the spirit world, which has already been manifested, and the continuation of that manifestation is what we are experiencing till now. And that is the reason why when that master came, manifested, he revealed the message, he revealed the higher revelation of this kingdom, of this, beast. When you talk about the beast now, which was being given time, so the revelation of that beast was being given to also who? To John, in order to show forth, so that people's eyes will be open to who that beast is. So while Daniel has given his own revelation, that revelation continues till a certain time. And now the revelation that was being given now has been opened, and John was being brought in order to do what? To open up the revelation of those beasts which has been allowed in order to continue what some of those ancient ones have, some of those ancient kingdoms were doing. So, but before then, now somebody was being raised in order to reveal how these things are going to play out. And this is the reason why you need to be able to understand. And we're talking about the revelation of YAHUWSHUWA, the revelation of Daniel, the revelation of YAHUWSHUWA, which he has already spoken up and given in order to show forth things which were so. Like I said, when we go all the way to the book of Daniel, chapter number 7, is describing a lot of things about what the fall of those them kingdoms. But in all, there is a power that override all power. And those power, people who are being tied to those kingdoms that fell down, are blinded to what? To that really the supreme power. And that is the reason why let's just go briefly now, just before we finish. Let's go to the book of back to the book of Daniel. I want us to be able to see something there. Also, back into the book of Daniel. That is in chapter number 9. Daniel. In chapter number 7, sorry. And now when we read from verse number 5, he said here, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh, a lot of flesh. It eats a lot of flesh. What I mean by a lot of flesh is that this is part of that ancient dragon. This is part of that particular ancient kingdom which sucks the blood of the people, devour a lot of flesh. The martyr of the saints of YAHUWSHUWA, the people who martyred the saints of YAHUWSHUWA, they are going to spring up. Now listen to what the Bible says. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the lap of it 4 wings of fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. See, dominion was given to it. So the same thing that we're saying already in the book of Revelation is also being written here. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, 4th beast, dreadful and terribly strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped and residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So we're talking, so you see, the time that what a certain power from one beast was being given, which is what we read in the book of Revelation. Now we're talking about the connection through which they have now agreed in order to be given power to the dragon gave to the beast, and now the beast is going to return the power to the dragon. But all these things have to be able to play out. Like I said, in order for what to happen, the fulfillment of this particular prophecy. And so we are seeing the higher elevation of those people who are in YAHUWSHUWA. Those people who really, as they are passing through this particular time, people might be thinking that that when you talk about the things which happened during the Bible, the things are happening now, which are the biblical days. So now is the biblical days. A lot of prophecies is being fulfilled, which is going to be fulfilled also. So, but that cycle, that time, which was being given to the people, to make it right, to get it right. A lot of people do not. This is what I've been saying. That a lot of people do not understand the spirit mission which they have come on this particular place in order for them to be able to accomplish. And so many of them have been deviated, so they can't see a spiritual fight or the spiritual wars which they have come over in order to do. So what happened? They have been deviated from their own reality, from the things which they have been doing. But if they have been awoken like Daniel was being done to, because remember that the messenger which came to Daniel came there and did what? And said that now it is the time that I've come in order to show you, to make you overstand. So Daniel thought that he had revelations or whatsoever. Not until this particular Mala came to him and gave him a bunch of revelations, to the extent that he fainted. He fainted, that he ain't got no power on him in order for him to be able to really handle some of the things which were being given to him. So what I'm saying is that this is the time that we need to be able to really overstand and allow, this particular power, this spirit of truth, this, and open up our eyes, the spiritual eyes, in order to see the prophecies which is already been fulfilled right in front of our eyes. And as it is being unfolded in each and every one of us. So by the time that you start tapping into the truth of life in you, what is going to happen? You begin to really see the revelations of the things which are being recorded in the scripture being unfolded before you. And so today, I just made this particular one in this form so that we can be able to really see the vision of Daniel, which he saw, which is the vision of, the vision of Daniel, which he saw, and also, being wrapped in the truth of the fulfillment of that vision in YAHUWSHUWA, which ushered in something which is higher eternal thing. That is literally, we are here in order to do what? To fulfill the missions, the prophecies of yesterday, the things which has already been done, and the things which has already been recorded. In order for what? So we just like, when you talk about the children of yesterday who are on a mission today, in order to fulfill the promises, the things which has already been spoken about tomorrow. So why the things are passing by, why the missions, why the prophecy, you have to be open, your eyes has to be open in order to see and know and understand what is being played at the time when it is being played, because a lot of people are being deviated, not seeing. So that is the reason why when you go into the there's a passage in the scripture, the Bible talked about that a time came, and what happened? They decided, they were waiting for the time. They did not know that the time of the end has already come and done what? And the people overflowed with water perished. So why people were waiting for something? They did not know when it comes and overflows with water, and that word overflowed with water, and then the people perished. So they were waiting for a certain word, not knowing when the manifestation or the fulfillment of that thing, that the fulfillment of what they are waiting for has already been fulfilled. And so this is why we need to be able to, you need to be able to be, in the spirit, to be elevated, so that you can be able to really see, overstand the power of the mighty one, the power of Elohim in us. So this is the message for today, my dear brothers and sisters out there. And I thank the Most High Yahuwah for our brothers and sisters, those who have been here. Shalom, brother there, and everybody. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. I pray for you all. And I pray may the Most High Yahuwah continue to increase each and every one of you, and also allow the word of truth, the word of life, in order to continuously, bear fruit and regenerate in each and every one of our lives. brothers and sisters out there. I say to you all, you all remain strong till our next topic and study in the scripture. I say to you all, remain strong. Once again, shalom to you all, my brothers and sisters out there. Shalom, shalom, shalom.